So just settle yourselves in for a second and think of, I'm going to ask you what you remember from last week. So think about that for a second. Looks like I scared about 20 of them. Come on, please. Jin Metal Drum Rira Lingshin Indem Padi Stange Shindu Miteruagi Drokun Nanda Shinla Jupasho Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamninyatayami Sanghe Chidam Sopi Jognam Janju Vardu Dagmi Gasuchi Dahi Jinyen Gipe Zananki Rola Benchir Sanghe Jupasho Shidam Soki Jognam Janchu Bardu Dakmi Gapsuchi Dahi Jinyen Gipe Zananki Rola Benchir Sanghe Jupasho Shidam Soki Jognam Janchu Bardu Dakmi Gapsuchi Dahi Jinyen Gipe Sanamki Rola Benchir Sanghe Jupasho. I'm going to do a little meditation. It's not a usual meditation, but I want to do this because of the nature of today's class. So if you bear with me, I'll take you on a little journey. So you don't have to do anything other than resist your resisting. So you know when you're meditating and your mind says, oh, but am I doing it right? What if I do that? Should I be doing this? All you have to do is just let that pass. Yeah? Just do at whatever capacity you're visualizing or you're sensing or you're feeling. Just that's all you need to do. Because at that moment, there's no better way of doing it, no worse way of doing it, you're just doing that. Anything else is just a waste of mind. Yeah? So just give yourselves like 5-7 minutes of complete freedom from that self-grasping that says, am I right, am I wrong, am I doing it? Yeah? Is this the right colour, is this the right shape? Like it's such bullshit, you don't need to do it. Give yourself some freedom. Yeah? Because today we're going to talk about something relating to that, which is special. So take a comfortably seated position. This means that although you sense your body, you are not your body. And so this thing, this meat you call your body, for a few minutes you can let it rest and find a nice place to park your meat, your bones, your blood, your tissues. Make sure the base is nicely firm. The spine is straight, like something is pulling you up from the crown of your head. And your body is just going to rest there. Do a quick scan of where your body touches the cushion, where you feel the air moving on your skin. Quick scan of the senses and what they're attached to. Your eyes slightly closed, not fully closed, or whatever is comfortable for you. Release any tension that you may have. First of all, physically. So just bring your mind to that part, maybe your brow, and just let it relax, your shoulders. And gradually, as you center yourself, you will park your body, and it will call out for attention maybe, or maybe it'll sit still. It doesn't matter because you will leave it alone. And the way to withdraw is to begin to see how the breath is moving in your body. You're going to a more subtle level of experience. And to begin with, all you need to do is just be aware that this meat is breathing. And feel or observe or imagine the breath entering and exiting this body. This body you identify so preciously as you. Now we'll sharpen the mind just a little bit more by visualizing the air entering and exiting your body like a cloud that gets pushed out through your nostrils and expands as far as your out-breath, and then begins to enter and fill your lungs, and then exits, and just feel that, visualize that. Don't look to control it, just experience it. Now we're going to call on that alarm clock part of your mind, the awareness that keeps you meditating well. That part of your mind is now going to become active by just catching the mind when it gets distracted. And its job is just to bring your mind back to the breath. So to do that, we'll count the exhale. 1, inhale, and exhale. 2. Just count until the alarm goes off. And just start again from 1. No right or wrong. It's just an exercise. If your mind starts thinking of other things, just the alarm goes off, you bring your mind back. Now I'd like you to imagine an invisible breeze beginning to blow in front of you towards you. It begins very lightly. You could feel the fresh air as you breathe in and out for a second. You're in no particular place. You are just sensing your breath, but there's a freshness to the air. It's brighter and sharper, cleaner. That breeze becomes stronger, but it's not just air. That breeze moves everything away behind you. It begins to rush through your body, removing any hurts, any impurities, any negative thoughts, any attachments. It's an invisible breeze that just begins to remove from the tightness of your selfish mind anything that holds you grounded in selfishness. You can make it as strong as you like. Imagine the most negative thoughts being blown away behind you, but your body is perfectly here and present. Everything removed is a release. It has some pleasure associated to it, no more negativity. The source of the breeze is getting closer and the breeze is getting stronger until the space around you itself begins to be pushed back. And your conception of your body and yourself as this body begins to be pushed back. And you are left with your sensation of self, your sensation of awareness. Imagine space around you being pushed back, removed from conception until the breeze gets so close, the source of the breeze is so strong in front of you, it's like a bright light. It is delivering you to a state of bliss and awakening. This source in front of you has a shape, it's seated like you are facing yourself. It's too bright for you to make out the shape. But in the power of that breeze there is complete peace, complete love, and utter wisdom. feel some sense of reverence for this being in front of you, appearing right now to you in your meditation, just the way you are conceiving of them. And then imagine that there is an infinity beyond the way you see them, that is wiser, more loving, and all complete. Through them you have complete access to every single wish every being has ever wanted. See what it's like to be so close to the source of all those things. See if you can feel a sense of reverence or love towards them, gratitude. Imagine them floating a little closer towards you, and through the brightness you can see the shape of two eyes, close to yours, opened just slightly, enough for you to get a glimpse of their eyes. And imagine that you have a special power to see into their eyes the infinite number of lives that have brought them to this point. Imagine how they got enlightened. Imagine how they achieved bliss, how they conquered love for every single thing. Imagine the faces of all the creatures they could have ever been before this moment. Like looking at old files in a filing cabinet, behind those eyes you see every face that they could have ever had. And then you catch one face that is familiar to you, and it's the face you have now. It's the body you have now. Looking back at you. Planting the seeds for an ultimate way of being. And in their eyes there's a love for you right now. A love that wishes you could have every single thing you have ever wanted and more. Even the things you don't know you yet want. And every capacity to give to others exactly what they need. And slowly dissolve them into your heart. Make them smaller. Keep them there as an echo from your future, guiding you through this life and beyond. Get a sense of descending back into this room and into this body. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. beautiful plane. So what do you remember from last class? As I said at the beginning of this course, this is a different game now. We studied some basic ideas of Buddhism in the Asian Classics Institute course 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got some essence of what these things are. But this is a level up. The Bodhisattva Charavatara, which I just gave you an answer.
Bodhisattva Charvata.
What did I say? That's the answer.
That's what I remember.
It's actually a practice. It's a deep, deep practice that will last you lifetimes. Lifetimes. If you're not currently living those lifetimes. So I'd really like to invite you to internalize these things and turn these classes into a practice that can get you out of boring, normal, suffering orbits. You should be done with that, or you should have the seed to want to be done with that. And if not, then this is a good way to till the soil and plant the seeds. In either case, the content of this course is extraordinary. Extraordinary. So before I start giving you class 2, I'd really like to know as openly and genuinely as you can, tell me what you remember from last class, or what brought you back, for those of you that can. And know how nice it is to hear other people's perspective. And as a Bodhisattva, practice giving your perspective so others can. Emily?
I remember the story of Shantideva as this monk who went out of his way to not draw attention to himself.
Yeah.
And I love that because it really hit upon the idea of ego from not just he understood humility,
yeah,
but then also the monks that he worked with were, kind of set him up, and really what they learned through that was their own sort of ignorance.
Yeah.
What the true teaching is.
Yeah, and what a teacher, right?
Mr. Three Thoughts.
Mr. Three Thoughts. So what were the thoughts? They used to call him Mr. Three Thoughts. What were the thoughts he had?
Eating,
sleeping, and pooping. Yeah. Yeah, he's there. But the beauty about that is that it is our lives. I mean, we live our lives that way. But there's also an amazing, the teaching of his actual life is a way to practice. In that alone, you could spend months thinking, how do I turn my life into a teaching through the way I am being at work? You don't have to go to a monastery. You are working, you are engaging with people. When you go to the subway, you're engaging with people. How can you use however they are experiencing you for their benefit?
How you're experiencing them.
Yes. Yeah. So that's nice. I'm glad you remember that, because that is such a powerful part of this text. Yeah.
To kind of piggyback on the response, I think for me what stuck out about Shantideva's story is the thing about, the other monks who studied, kind of making fun of him, or not even that, but just kind of rejecting not accepting him wholly until he starts spewing these magical words, and it kind of reminds you that you can, that anyone can be the Buddha, and you don't know until that moment of connection. And also, I think the other thing that I really liked is that all the chapters in the teaching go with like the 6 perfections.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of, it reminds me of like Tsongkhapa's like 3 paths because it's like the complete, it's like a condensed complete teaching.
Yeah. That's nice. Music to my ears. Come on and share, because you know, the content of today's class, as I said at the beginning of this course, the course itself, but the content of this class, when Holy Geshe Michael taught this class in the 90s, and then I was unable to come back to a place like the Three Jewels. So imagine that you went home tonight, you're really into this topic, I'm assuming, right? And then you went home tonight and someone said, oh, if you go back to your country in Australia, you'll get your visa, green card, and you'll be able to come back. And then next week you go and pack your apartment, you leave the Free Joggers, you'll be back in 2 or 3 weeks. And you never come back. Visa rejected, the Three Jewels is still active, there's still people here, but you cannot be here for 10 years. And for those 10 years, what do? You remember the most holy things you got from a place like this. Because it's all you've got, assuming you don't have internet, which we didn't, and cell phones, which we did, but they were like, and all you have is what you've just articulated. That's all you have. A memory of a magical moment of your own making, if you understand karma, right? But it appears like it's in a place like this, and it's words from ancient teachings, and that's all you have. And this particular class was so impactful for me that it gave me food for 10 years to come back. Because I mean, only you are practicing. I can't practice for you, she can't practice for you, you can't practice for him. Really?
But can't you? But can't you?
You can't fix my karma, you know? You can fix your karma or my karma.
But can't I wish for your...
You can, but can you really affect me? You know?
Yes.
How?
Because there's no separation.
But do you sense a separation? Like, am I here?
Yes.
Right. So wish for me to be something right now, you know? And unless I have the capacity to have that sensation, I can't have that benefit. But you can have the benefit of what you just wished. In that way, it functions. 100%. There is something in that. Because then that seed will have, in the garden of your mind, will grow and multiply and grow and multiply until you will have an experience of a world where there isn't a person here unable to have that sensation. But for right now, I mean, I remember praying as a child, you know, when everything else doesn't help you, you resort to God, or at least I did, you know, so nothing else is working. So God, please. The first thing was like, it was horrible. It was like my mum said I couldn't do something, and she scolded me and got me in trouble, and I asked him to kill her. You know, like, God, please kill her. You know, and then within, I don't know, an hour or something, I'm like, everything changed. My mind changed. I wasn't unhappy anymore. And I went back and I'm like, God, please don't kill her. You know, withdraw the order. Please don't kill her. You know, and then family members are sick or friends are sick, and please don't let them die. Wishing, you know, I don't think you can have a more pure wish than a child saying, please, I wish that the world isn't like this. Children now being bombed in all sorts of parts of the world, wishing that those things weren't happening. It happens. The wishing doesn't do it in the moment. Okay? So you have to really think about that, because then we can get into sort of mystical Buddhism where we imagine a reality that isn't this reality. Yeah? We have to work with this reality. That was the first class, the realities of this world, the way we see them, and then understanding those forces that are at play in our existence, and then learning to ride and manipulate those forces, like playing an instrument, like speaking a language, like learning art. We can learn those things. Yeah. So, what else do you remember? I'm really interested in this part because my job as sitting here and being, fortunately or unfortunately, the one that's passing this on to you, is to make sure you get something that you can use. Because I can't do your realizations.
We did a review of the chapters.
Great. Okay, so give me some of them.
Can I look over there?
No. You know, when you're dead, there is no computer to go to. Yeah? And as you're dying, your fingers won't reach to the computer, and all my notes, you know. So there is something in the memorization that the Tibetans do, because you are only taking what you've got there. And if you've got some fuzzy, weird idea, that's what you've got. And if you've got some solid idea because you've thought it, you've reviewed it or whatever, and then you've habituated it in meditation, and you have it as a knowing, as a realization, I can't scream at you and get it out of you. You have it. So give it your go, and there's no embarrassment. Like there's so much I don't know, and there is so much to know, and there's so much you don't know, and there's so much to know. But check what you know. That's my job at the beginning here. Check what you know, and hopefully you go, I better figure that one out because that one is important. You know.
Well, what stands out for me is how the chapters relate to imperfections.
Great. Mm-hmm. In which way, or what is it? First thoughts that come.
There was a chapter for each perfection, and then there were a couple of them that were kind of...
They were mixed up,
yeah,
right?
You had to kind of do a little association.
Okay, so does anyone know which ones they are? If not, I can give you a hand. Without looking at them. Which ones weren't precisely the perfection? Giving wasn't a chapter, right? As entitled giving. Which one was it?
The dedication.
The dedication, chapter 10, at the end of the Bodhisattva is where the whole story about giving. Why is that the giving chapter? Why is that?
Giving a dedication is about the highest you can give.
Giving Dharma, right? Giving the realization of ultimate things is that the biggest giving you can do. Like, what else can you give someone that's bigger than that? Right?
And I think the other one was ethics and morality.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. And what? So you've got it without looking. Love it. You're taking that. You can die happy. Don't. Please don't. Yeah. It was a request. Take the order back. Yeah. Okay, good. Thanks, Paul.
And then there were like extra ones, like there weren't,
Right.
because there were 10.
Yeah. So what were some of the extras? What was the first one? Do you remember?
Like the benefits.
Yeah, which we're going to start covering today. Why is this thing important? Right? So my job in class 1 was to say, wake the hell out. Wake up. Yeah? Wake up to the reality you're in. Don't think that because you're swimming in the soup of New York, happy, healthy body and mind life, that in this condition you're also not going to be gone. I distinctly recall not thinking aging and death was going to happen to me. Now I'm happy I'm aging because I'd rather that. You know, like I'd rather have a birthday than not. You know, until I get something, right? But I remember being younger and thinking that's just for old people. They're just complaining about nothing. Stupid old people, you know. Now I've got those partners. You know, I hang out with all those people in cafes and they're like, oh yeah, really? And I'm like, he's thinking stupid old man. Yeah, it's an instant comeback. It's awesome. Anyway, we digress. Be careful what you think of. It'll come, you know.
Well, the term that you used was wake-upism. That's what we're practicing.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, Buddhism
I like that.
is Buddha is to wake up, to awaken. So this is wake-upism. It really is. It really, really is. And the mirage keeps coming back. You know, it's like you get through this thick jelly mirage that has a 3D effect of this very nice life with new apartments and healthy relationships and job offers and all the things about mental concern. It's this thick jello 3D thing, and if you move it enough you could see there is something. You're waking up to what it is. But as soon as the hand of jello comes over again, we're instantly sucked in. This is our condition. And there is something that you heard last week, there's something that you heard that got you in this class, there is something that you heard from your own consciousnesses that said, wake up, wake up, wake up. Because we are a bunch of zombies on the way to the grave, so we can do it again, and we can do it again. And completely out of control. These forces are in control of us because we don't know we're riding that train. And the first thing is, I'm riding a train. Oh my God, I'm heading somewhere. I didn't even know it. I mean, who's had that kind of experience where you have a little realization, you go, I didn't know it was like this. Anyone? Yeah, that's why you're here. Now, does that guarantee you freedom from the ride? You're on a train out of control. What's that stupid movie we saw with the trains out of control? Oh, no, the winter one.
Snowpiercer?
Snowpiercer.
What is it?
Yeah. You're on a stupid train out of control, perpetually going around the world so it doesn't freeze to death, right? It's afraid of
Is that what it's called?
I think so. Is that what it, have you seen it? What's it called?
I've heard of it. It's something like
It's
that.
Speed?
Snowpiercer.
Snowpiercer, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry if you liked it, right? Stupid, no. We're on that train. Just knowing you're on that train doesn't mean the train stops. And it's not. And you're on the train with all these other creatures, just like that movie. That was the only good thing about the movie. I can make an analogy in Dharma. So,
That was the good thing about you.
yeah. Thanks. So if you've had that wake up, when things get nominally better, which they do, and then they get worse, and then they get better, don't get hypnotized. Stay with your wake-upism. Stay awake, alert. It's just another trick. You've got some pleasure, enjoy the pleasure, love the pleasure. Yeah, Buddhism is not about being depressed or anything. That's another mistake, another hypnosis we go under. Wake up means you are alert. That's what meditation is for. I mean, you are focused. Focused on the way you are creating your life. And their life will give you a mirage that's bad and good and bad and good. And it comes from your ignorance of not knowing how things exist, not knowing you're on a train, and there's some things you like and some things you dislike, blah, 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 blah. Creating things you enjoy and don't enjoy. Don't enjoy, enjoy. And you think it's out there, and it's not. You're on this train. The train will crash. Wake up, and then begin to figure out how to take control of the train. Because if it's caused, if it's a moving thing, if it's a changing thing, it's caused, it has some causes. You can figure what those causes are, and you can change them to get a different result. And by the time, and you got two choices, right? The train will crash before you figured out how to do it, and you wake up and you're on a train. I think that's how the movie starts. Is that how it starts? John, right? Is that how it starts? Like this, someone is on a train, right? I'm riding a train. It's exactly like that. Wow, this movie's awesome. You should go to this movie. Yeah, it's so good. It's no good, sir. Yeah, things change. Things change.
There's impermanence right there.
Impermanence is an example of things change really quickly. But it is like that. So you got that choice. The That's it, finished. You wake up, you're on train again. And it's like a memory, it's fuzzy, you don't know why you're on a train. And if you're lucky, you get a message from yourself saying, the train's not real like the way you think it's real, you can figure out how to stop the train. And then you might begin a life journey. It's not a week journey, it's not instant coffee, it's not McDonald's, it's your life journey to figure out how to stop the train that you are riding and that you put into motion. No one else's job. I mean, I can wish it for you, and I can wish it for you, and I can wish it for you, and believe me, I do. But you got to stop your train. And that's one of the topics we'll discuss today, right? What would you call that, the wish to stop your train? If you had to relate it to Buddhist philosophy. The wish to stop your own train. Renunciation. Good. Yeah.
But if I want to stop everybody's train.
That's bodhicitta. Yeah, excellent. I want everyone on the train to stop, to recognize they're not on a train that's self-existent. Good. Woo. Thank you. Anything else you remember from last class? Because if you get that motivation, see, my job is to say, remember the motivation for being here. It's the only thing that would stay you awake, keep you awake whilst the hypnosis that we've been immersed in for an eternity keeps coming back. And it can happen second by second, right? You could have a completely blissful moment of realization where you see slightly through the fabric of the jello, and you see a beauty in life, and you see a wisdom in life, and you see how a mode of being appears, and then you're back in. You're distracted like a fish that has a memory of a minute. You know, oh, there's a rock. Oh, there's a rock. There's a rock. Like that. You know? Oh, I'm doing it again. What else do you remember? Sorry.
I remember your story.
Which one was that? I forgot.
Being in Australia and working, and how you were incorporating your practice and recognizing the impermanence of the situation. You know, there was that story, and then the story of Shantideva.
Yeah. The main thing about my story is that, you know, I worked for 10 years, I got all these great benefits, and I had something to apply, right? But the other people on my train, on the working train for 10 years in this company, etc., we all just got old. And all the stuff we did, no one cares. I mean, it's finished. And unless you had complete awareness that as we use this meat to do activities, and it doesn't matter whether you're painting, or you're healing the sick, or you're connecting wires, or you're chopping wood. I mean, really in the big scheme of things, you're just moving your body. What matters is what your mind is doing as your body is doing something, right? Now, if you're chopping up animals and if you're hurting other beings, it matters, because your mind is saying, this is hurting things. In that way, it matters. But the main thing about that story is that we all got old, and all this, we got old.
Right, no, it's a great story of impermanence, and of vidya as well, the people that were suffering because they weren't recognizing.
Yeah, cool, okay. So you got to know your stuff. You got to know your train. You got to know your story. You imagine yourself telling somebody a story in 10 years' time and going, or maybe shorter, and saying, because they're going to be 20, right? These people that are now 7, 8, whatever, at some point, if they're lucky, they're going to be 20. And they're going to hit their first or second bad relationship, shitty job, can't pay my rent. It doesn't get passed on in this world just because you've experienced something, right? There's a whole bunch of millions of beings growing up right now who are excited about the next iPhone 7, right? I don't know. Or the next thing that's coming, and then when that thing doesn't give them happiness, they're going to get their first disappointment. And a small bunch of them are going to look for reasons. Others are going to look for other phones until they hit that first awakening. And they might come to you and say, how do I solve this? What do I'm on a train. And you have to help them. If you know something, you have to help them. And this is what the whole class is for. So if you can imagine that as you're sitting here listening to the content of masters from thousands of years ago, that said, we're on a train, and these beings figured out the train, went to the engine, and figured out how to stop that train. Freed themselves from that ever-cycling train. I haven't figured out an analogy for getting off the train yet, but I'll figure it out before the end of class. Any other comments or questions? Because I'm very interested in you guys having content, not just me.
So you destroy it?
You destroy the train.
Then you destroy the train.
Nice. No train existed before. Yeah, good. And you walk out into the fields of everything. Good. So, like I said, when I was stuck outside the 3 jewels, outside Dharma teachings for 9-something years, I'm listening to the content of this class before teaching it, and I'm like, oh my God, that's the stuff that sustained me. This stuff sustained me because in this class, Geshe Michael was supposed to teach us the benefits of bodhicitta, and like all good Tibetan Buddhist teachings, there's 10,000 lists about the benefits. But he didn't do that in this class. He said, let me give you a feeling of what those benefits are. Let me tell you what it would feel like in your body, what it would feel like in your consciousness if you had this magical elixir called bodhicitta. And then we can talk about the divisions and whatever, but without that, it's just another conceptualization. And so what I remember, we were all like this in this class. It was at the Quaker House on 15th Street and 3rd Avenue, I want to say. You know that, the Quaker House?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was this first year we rented that because his group got bigger. We had about 80, 90 people there this night. And he was supposed to teach us about the benefits of bodhicitta. And he started by saying, let me, he wrote up on the board, Jang Chup Sem Ke. Jang Chup, say after me, Jang Chup. Semke.
Semke.
What's Semke? Do you know? Mind. Yeah. So this is just the word for bodhicitta, but in Tibetan it means enlightened mind develop. To develop the enlightened mind. Yeah. And Sem is the citta in bodhicitta. So he wrote that up on the board and goes, but before we go there, how to get that mind. Because sometimes the English translations for this, from the Tibetan or the Sanskrit, they say mind of enlightenment. Yeah? It just means bodhicitta. It means this state of mind that colors everything you think of, experience, feel, and do after you've developed it enough. And it changes the quality of everything, every karma, every movement of your mind. One analogy is like it's like tea in water. Once it's in there, once the color is in there, you can't remove it. It's colored there, yeah? And it's essential and it's important in so many ways that we'll get to discuss today and next week. But he started by saying, let's review the 5 paths. And I thought this was brilliant because last Thursday, John, who teaches 2 years ahead of me or something in this same room, was just covering the 5 paths and this thing. So for those of you that know the 5 paths, he covered them slightly different to the way that they are normally covered. Yeah. So what's the first path? Do you know? Path of accumulation. Do you know the Tibetan? Yeah. Soklam. Yeah. And lam means path, right? But it's not a little brick road. Okay? It's not that kind of path. What's a path? In terms of a lam.
It's a realization.
Yeah, it's the realizations you have. You see, it's not like linear, okay, I've done this, that. Okay, some of them happen simultaneously. So the first one is the path of accumulation, soklam. And what are you accumulating? Merit, right? And then you have a realization in this path, and then you have some cessations, right? So what is the thing that characterizes a being in this path? In these paths, regardless of what religion you are, if you're in wake-up-ism and call it whatever you want to call it, any being that reaches a state of enlightenment has to necessarily go through these five realizations and cessations, right? And the very first one, which is extremely hard to get, and I remember him saying, and it was early enough for me not to catch it, but I caught it this time, he goes, if I tell you how difficult it is to get, you won't come back to class, so I better not tell you. The first part, okay? Sokla. And when you think about it, because of the hypnotic nature of our ignorant existence on the train, we get distracted by the scenery. It is difficult to get. It's not impossible to get, but it requires energy beyond normal activities, more than learning to play music, more than learning to, it just takes effort. Lucky for you, you're aware of your mind all the time, so you can apply that effort all the time. You can't play the guitar all the time, yeah? So you have the capacity to give extraordinary effort, just by coloring your mind like tea and water. So it's often the path of accumulation. You're accumulating merit. You're accumulating good energy. You're accumulating enough fuel, rocket fuel, not car fuel, not little gasoline, but hyper explosive energy to orbit you out of the train tracks. Yeah, not normal energy, super energy. Okay, and so you got to do that with super stuff, not just, yeah. And waking up about the reality of your existence is one of those things. Thinking about that is one of those things. Yeah, and the reason it's fuel is because, and the reason renunciation, building renunciation will get you in renunciation. The reason it's fuel is for when the mirage comes, either in meditation or in daily life, you better remember your death. You better remember your condition. You better, and not to be depressed, not as an excuse to be another Westerner that needs psychotherapy. Yeah, if you want to do that, good, it might be helpful, etc. But it's more than that. There's these things driving your existence that require your hyper attention. And renunciation is the fuel that removes the hypnosis. Yeah? So when things are blissful, I'm not saying go remember your death and go, oh no, I'm depressed, life is terrible. No, I'm not saying that at all. Enjoy the hell out of the bliss, like really live it, jump up and down, excited, but have in your mind the reality that it will end. And so you better enjoy this to its outmost capacity. And it doesn't mean drink it all up for yourself. It means share it with others. It doesn't mean be so much into your bliss that you forget other creatures. That's hypnosis. It means, renunciation means, I know how this game goes. I've been on this train. I'm still on the train. Regardless of the magic show in front of me, I am still on the train, and this person next to me on the train doesn't know they're on the train. I've got this explosive, overflowing bliss happening to me right now. I remember my rocket fuel, and I charge. See, the beautiful thing about giving is as soon as you give it away, the fuel goes up. You just got more fuel. You know, it's beautiful. It's crazy. It's the opposite to the way things normally work in this shitty existence we call samsara, human suffering, animal suffering, and all the other beings on the six realms suffering. The opposite impulse is what frees you. Selfishness is what keeps you here. We'll get to it. So that's top one. You stop lying to yourself. You know, like we get hypnotized and we lie to ourselves. Everything's going to be perfect forever. No, it won't. You won't. But I mean, you know, like we are. Oh, sorry. as Westerners, right? Science is our religion, right? We're so scientific. Except about this stuff, right? You get a little bit of goodness. Now happy forever. I've found the perfect relationship. She'll never cheat on me. I'll never cheat on her. I'll never look at another person. Liar! Why lie to yourselves? Self-love is wake up. What is the actual reality that you are experiencing in your life? And work with that. No guilt, work with that. And you become your doctor. You can free yourself. There's instructions. You can free yourself. This book is that instruction. And you start with Sokna, the path of accumulation. With that state of mind, that you're experiencing great joy, you remember the impermanence of your reality, you help someone else. If it's just one person and that's your capacity, then that is extraordinary for a normal life. No one thinks of giving away their goodness. Already you are extraordinary. Don't get hypnotized by being extraordinary. Give it to 2 people. Yeah? Then you build that muscle and then you can do that really easy. Don't get hypnotized by giving it away to 2 people. Expand your capacity until you are 100% free of the hypnosis. And that's the third path. We'll get there soon. What's the next path? Soklam? Preparation. Jorlam. Okay? And traditionally there's 4 levels to this path. Not that we need to go through it until you go through it, because you only really know after you've gone through them. So there's these 4 different depths, if you like, or widening of this path. You're preparing, right? You're preparing something. You've got the jet fuel, you've got this hyper fuel, and you're preparing for an experience, a communion with ultimate reality. You're preparing your mind through habituating, through studying, through conceptualizing, through failure. Yeah? Because who's ever learned a skill? Let's see if you're all human. Yeah? Who's never failed at trying something? Hey! Hannibal, good on you. You know, it's not, we just label it failure, but really it's learning. It really is learning. Failure is not seeing it as learning. And so in Joyam, you go through these 4 depths or widening of your intellectual understanding of the ultimate nature of reality, that word emptiness, right? Which shouldn't have a conception for you because it's a lack of something. Okay, so you, in this path of preparation, you are preparing yourself to recognize upon communion with this ultimate nature of existence what that is. But not because it's out there, it's because you've habituated your mind to look for something. Well, to look for something that isn't there. Emptiness is the lack of something. And it's a special lack of something. Emptiness is the lack of something that wasn't there. And when Hector Marcel taught this in this class, my brain was exploding. I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. I'd heard emptiness a few times, but this was particularly difficult. What do you mean I'm looking for something that's not there? What do you mean it's the absence of something? I'm already lost. Absence, I'm already lost. You know, absence is something that's not there, I'm super lost. Yeah, how am I looking for something that wasn't there, and how is it not there? It's not that difficult if you keep checking what these words mean. If you listen, he said you have to listen to this idea of the pen. He says 1,000 times before you get it. I can't do that for you. All I remember is that in this class and some classes before, he said whatever you do, if you want to prepare, habituate your mind to look for this thing, this self-existent thing, the thing that wasn't there. Habituate yourself to look for the emptiness of things as you go about your everyday. And for some stupid Hector reason, I thought of a tree. I'm sorry, I'm embarrassed. Yeah, and so every time I saw a tree, Geshe Michael will pop into my mind, like the entrance to the tree. I don't know what it meant, but I saw the tree at the beginning. That's how it was for me, really. Hopefully you're a little bit more advanced than look for the tree. But you're preparing to understand, intellectually you're looking for the lack of inherent existence in something. The no self. Okay? It just means no self-existence, meaning there is absolutely nothing, and you have to check, okay? I can tell you the words, you can read the words, you can hear other people, but you have to check. Otherwise it's not your path, not your line. There is absolutely nothing in your entire experience of all existence, there is nothing that has a nature, meaning it radiates from its side some particles of being that communicate to you how that thing is. There is no bottle here projecting tiny bottle psychic atoms that tells your mind this is a bottle. Yeah? Zero. And that sounds stupid, right? And it's too fast for us to catch it because you're like, duh, I know that. But do you? If you check, you think this is a bottle, and doesn't matter what I just said. This is a bottle. This is what it means to be human. To be human means that this is bottle. To be ignorant means that humans are the only things on the universe, and therefore this is bottle. Stupid humans. Infinite creatures on the planet, infinite minds. Even within the human realm, infinite levels of capacities of mind. This, from this over there, pushing out bottle, impossible. The proof is dog comes in, not bottle. Elephant comes in, not bottle. Ant comes in, ocean. Not bottle. From here. Is it a bottle? It is, right? You know it's a bottle. But the mystic Buddhism says no bottle, weirdos. Right? It's not hard, it's just confusing because we're not used to it. Who plays music? Who was born playing music? Right? Who speaks? Who was born speaking English? Who walks? Who was born walking? We learn it. We learn it all. And some things we learned before we got here. And it's forced on us. And this word forced is very important in the second half of the class. The bottle is a bottle, absolutely. Nominally speaking, for us creatures looking at this thing, this is a bottle because we decided it's a bottle. But not as in wishing, not as in I just decided it's a bottle. Even if I throw it to you as a rock, you still think he hit me with a bottle.
Do you think like Aboriginal peoples who have never had contact with society?
Good question. Good question. Yeah. We share the perceptions of the shape and colors mostly, yeah, from the human realm, because you can teach an Aborigine and Eskimo that this is a bottle, and after that taughtness, it's a bottle. Yeah? A baby didn't know it was a bottle. But all of a sudden we indoctrinated them into the cult of bottle, and we all believe bottle.
It reminds me of that movie, The Gods Must Be Crazy.
Yeah, exactly. But that's an important question, you see.
That'll answer his question, right? Because I feel like that reminds me of the next question, because they like drop the Coke bottle into like
in the middle of
Africa, and they're like, what in God's name is this Coke bottle? Like they don't know.
Yeah.
But all of us know what Coke is because we're Western.
Yeah, true. But what I'm saying is that after you tell them it's a bottle, or if they won and they told us what the god it was, the god of glass or something, then we'd all be indoctrinated in that
Right.
cult. Yeah. Our tiny spectrum of experience, whatever that is experienced where? Where do you experience this object?
In our mind.
Right? Because the eyeball doesn't know bottle.
No.
Right? So if you slow down without light you can't see it, right? And so what you're seeing is limited by the receptor. And your receptor is different to an ant's receptor, yeah, of this object. This object is more than what you see, yeah.
Would you say that we recognize that in our mind or in our brain?
Good thing. Yeah, good question also. According to Buddhist philosophy, the brain is just another meat, yeah? It might be where the synapses go, but there is no synapse that holds the nature of bottle, yeah? But our mind, which is different to the brain, is the consciousness that gives life to that spark, if you like. So we found the sparks, okay? The spark going ding dong, yeah? But that particular spark and that flavor of spark, to have the conception with all the colorfulness that you add to bottle, yeah? Because some bottles have a horrible feeling to them, or a darkness, or, you know, for some people bottle is an exciting, addictive thing. For all those flavors are not in the sparks, yeah, according to Buddhist philosophy. The spark serves as the brain, the meat of that organ, serves as a conduit. And I think I said it last week, we mistake the tree for the earth because it's stuck in the earth, yeah, because it's connected to the earth. They're not the same thing. The consciousness is as vast as the earth. It's massive. The mind free of the meat, yeah? The tree will die, the earth will stay. That, I think, is what I just said in metaphor. But that requires some investigation. And until you get an understanding, yeah? For me now it's clear. At the beginning it wasn't clear. It was like, you mean brain, right? Don't mean brain. So what you mean soul, right? Define soul. Yeah? Your awareness, your consciousness, your mind, yeah? Don't get mixed up with the meat, yeah? That is the brain. When you smash the meat, the body stops moving, yeah? According to Buddhist thought, your mind does not. It's not made of meat. Yeah, it's not made of physical stuff. It's a different substance. It's got its own causation. It's its own stream. Like the atoms of the meat has its own stream. The atoms will turn into other things. That won't be the body for a while. But the mind will turn into more mind. It might not be this kind of mind, but it will be in the shape and form of what was in the mind. That's the basis of getting enlightened. Understanding how the mind shifts from moment to moment, coursed from moment to moment, until you remove the obstacles to its blissful nature.
The mind creates itself.
So back to, we're in Jordan, right? You're preparing, you're having 4 different views of emptiness. Until you learn them, till you get to the root of them and you begin to meditate on them and have little epiphanies that turn into realizations, more and more realizations, you're just going to struggle like learning an instrument. But just because you struggle learning an instrument doesn't mean you can't play music. It just means you have to practice. Some of us have to practice more because I've got fat fingers. Other people can paint in 2 sessions. Other people I can't do headstands because I'm too fat and front heavy. Yeah?
That's not true.
I can do it against the wall. Sorry. So you're preparing, right? And as you're doing that, you're maintaining the first part, Sopla. You're maintaining your jet fuel. Don't get distracted by the hypnosis. You're getting better and better at finding this elusive thing called emptiness. Once you start seeing it, it's not that hard to find. Every height, everything can be put under analysis and it can disappear from the way you've seen it. Everything. including you, including the way you think of you. Without emptiness, you could not change, and you are changing. Without emptiness, you couldn't get enlightened, and you can get enlightened because you're empty. You don't have a solid nature of being just that, only that. You are not that. You never were that. You are that now. By the time you leave class, you are a different thing. Atomically, you're different. You're breathing out parts of your body. You're leaving skin all over them, literally. And so what of the infinitely vaster realm of your consciousness? I mean, right now, you've had realizations where a word has been said, a memory has been brought on, and everything changed. Everything changed. Someone says something, I mean, I'm 20-something. I think I'll share a little bit of the story and then we can make it suspenseful. I'm 20-something and I return back to Argentina for the first time where I was born and blah, 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 and I meet my uncle and he says to me, did you know that your dad used to go out with your mother's mum? And I'm like, what? And he's got a son to someone else. I'm like, what? My life, I know my life. It's not that. My dad can't be my grandpa. I can't have a brother. I'm 20-something. You can't just pop out a brother. You can. A word, everything changes. A word. I mean, we're very lucky to have Coco with us, who was in the 3-year retreat. Some of the people that went into 3-year retreat, one person in particular, her father was diagnosed with cancer, and she was very worried about staying in retreat, and she did all this work and purification. I've told this story before, right? For a year plus, you're going to retreat for 3 years. You're probably not going to see him when you come out, right? Because he's going to die of cancer, and he's older and whatever. Hard, but she practiced and practiced and practiced. The week before going in, she gets a phone call from the dad. The doctors had misdiagnosed him. No cancer.
Oh my gosh.
No cancer. She went into retreat. She stayed 3 weeks. One word, your universe changes. And if it happens nominally, imagine what you can do with the immense capacity of your consciousness, of your mind, not your brain, yeah? Your mind. The thing that if you close your eyes, you can imagine a Buddha in front of you who was you in the past. I mean, that's magic. Imagine that as a course for something else, for your own freedom. Your mind can create realities as solid as this one. I'm digressing. Jawline. 4 stages. You're habituating yourself to find this thing called emptiness. It's so abundant that you miss it. We're so in the hypnosis that we can't tell that it's everywhere. This lack of self-existence. This has no nature by itself. This has no nature by itself. When you know that and it becomes something pliable for you to play, maybe a little riff or something, for the music analogy, then you're leveling up through those 4 levels of your preparation, preparing to see emptiness directly. Yeah? You're preparing to have this moment of communion with the ultimate nature of all things, the emptiness of all things. So you're sitting in meditation because you have been meditating for a long time. And what's that called? Path of? Seeing. The 3rd path is the path of seeing. Tonglam. And it has 2 stages. Tong or Tong? Tong, T-O-N-G. Tong. When Geshe Michael shared this, like I said, we were transfixed because it was one of the first times I saw him drop his guard. Like he was teaching, always teaching us, right? And there's always something, slight separation, like I'm teaching you something. Yeah, and I'm teaching you correctly as the lineage lamas and so on. But there was a slight drop of that separation because he shared for what was our collective experience something from his deep personal experience. The way someone uses a word that you know they know something. Like when the people that came out of a 3-year retreat shared what meditation is like, it's very different from someone that read a book and said, let me teach you about meditation. Right? It was exactly this way when Geshe Michael Roach was talking about the path of seeing. And it has 2 parts. In the first part, because you have been habituating your mind to experience emptiness in an intellectual way, because of the first part, you truly have a renunciation for the way things are in this world, and you're no longer concerned for yourself in the way that you were before. You know that there's no job that will bring you happiness. It will all be gone. You know that there's no fame that will bring you happiness. 2 generations pass and you're gone. You're gone. You don't exist anymore. Think of the thousands of people that have lived 2 generations back and beyond. Who are they? They all loved. They all longed. They all hurt. They all wished. Where are they? The same's going to happen to your face. Your face is going. So the first part reminds you of that. This is the fuel. The second part gets you to prepare to look for a deeper reality, a stronger, a more permanent way out of the loop. Yeah, a complete way out of the loop. And then you, because of all that accumulation and all that preparation, you are pitched into an experience of communion with the ultimate nature of all things, which is this direct experience of nothing exists from its own side. Not you meditating, not you watching yourself meditating, not you meditating well, not you not meditating well, not your teachings, not your teacher. There is no conception. You're in a realm, you are pitched out of this desire realm into what's called the form realm, into the first level of the form realm. You are not even here. You are not in your body, like you conceive of yourself in your body. You are complete. There is no you to think of you having an experience. And here is this being describing this as a complete and utter reality for them. Like someone who's been to Buenos Aires?
Sure.
Great, I'm the only one, right? You all have a picture of Buenos Aires. Imagine Buenos Aires.
I see Hector.
Yeah. Right? It's very different than being in Buenos Aires. I know it smells a specific way. I know that people dress in a specific way. I know what the air feels like in the different seasons. I've been there. I can tell you Buenos Aires. There is this 9-lane highway where the obelisk is, and it's a huge obelisk in the center of Buenos Aires. People are speaking with passion to each other. The food smells fantastic. People are honking and turning right from 6 lanes on the left across the entire track. They don't care. You couldn't know that if you went there. Yeah. And Geshe Michael was describing the path of seeing from having been there. And after studying this, where does my reality come from? How am I experiencing this world, right? In my consciousness, in my mind. There is no sound that I'm emitting here. There's no self-meaning from the words I'm saying. For each of you, you have your own meaning, and you're not choosing to construct it. You are actually bursting into experiences, word after word. I can't make them. Please believe that they are very special. I can't make that happen for you. If they are special for you, that is your manufacturing. Not by choice, but by what you've habituated that patty thing called your mind before tonight. And because of that virtue, you are now bursting into, hopefully, some nice experiences. And if I'm boring, it's good out for me because I can't be that boring. For me, I'm enjoying it. Do you see what I'm saying? And for some beautiful reason, that evening at the Quaker house, when Geshe Michael spoke these words, I can tell you that the grand majority of us believed completely that there was something else happening that day. And he was sharing a very personal experience of having been in this place called Seeing Emptiness Directly. 15 to 20 minutes after building a life around meditation, contemplation, renunciation, and emptiness, being pitched into communion with the ultimate thing, which is no thing like we think of things. where your conception of self disappears completely. But not in a scary way, sort of like we tried in that little meditation. Everything disappears. Yeah? And you are, they call it pouring water into water. Right? There's no sense of separation. You are everything. And you are nothing. Yeah? There is no you. And you are in this different realm. And then after a short time, you come down from that finishes, that karma finishes. Yeah? Because it's in this, it's here, right? And you have a sensation. He'd said you'd have a sensation. The second part of the path of seeing, you have a sensation of descending into skin, into this realm, from the form realm to the desire realm that we call here. You have this sensation, and you catch your mind beginning to conceptualize again, and only then can you tell the story of what just happened. Because your mind is grabbing that experience that has no words, that has no description. You can't teach it. You have to be it. And after coming down, your mind then continues the train habituation. Yeah? And it begins to grab this experience you've had and lock it into concepts. And he says one of the first things that you recognize is that you just saw something ultimate. You just saw something completely outside the circle of the train. Complete ultimate. The next one you have is this kind of joy that says, I did it. And it's not in a selfish way, it's a, oh my goodness, that just happened. Yeah? So the old Nick that is trying to see emptiness directly reasserts itself. Yeah? But this thing, it's hard to fit into little Nick, the big Nick. Yeah? And that Nick says, you're on a cushion, you're still meditating, and you have this sense of descending, and you have this sense of, oh my goodness, I just saw something ultimate. And I just saw emptiness directly. And you don't know, I mean, I have my song that I'm going to play when I get to see it. It's called Shangri-La, and it's disco, 1970s. No. But you don't think of that at that moment.
Can you sing it for us? With a record there, just ready.
I'm going to take it.
Can you sing it? Can you please sing it?
I'm not singing it.
Isn't it said that if you were to see emptiness directly and were to actually taste that ultimate reality, you're not supposed to share it?
Yeah, that's one of the things.
Is it a vow or it's a...
No, it's just that it's not that you're not supposed to, it's that you usually don't, and he wasn't doing it that way at all. He was just teaching us the list, but the way he was teaching us the list, every now and then his words would slip from, so for example, I'm telling you what Geshe Michael said, right? He was telling us what Tsongkhapa said. He was saying what Master Shantideva said. He was, but every now and then he'd say, and then it's hard to describe how someone is speaking from experience. He'd say something, you just knew. I wish I could remember some of the words that he chose to use or that popped out, and then you go, oh, that's not from the book. It's describing precisely what the book says, because you could go back and check the book, but those words were not from a book.
But since then, Victor, he has related that.
He has, yeah. There's no vow to say you're not to share it, okay? But there are no of like that. But you're not encouraged to do it because...
Isn't it? It's not one of the Bodhisattva vows?
Coco, is it one of the Bodhisattva vows? It's not really.
Quite the opposite. It's just do not lie about.
Yeah,
it's not lie about
spiritual realizations.
Right.
Which means if you've seen it, it's nothing stopping you from saying it. But the reason why you don't is because who believes that I actually have been to Buenos Aires? Right? Okay. What if I tell you I've never been to Buenos Aires?
I knew it.
It's like that, you see. You're just believing me because I said it. Yeah? Now, some of you know that I'm from there, but I also just told you that I was from there. You don't really know. You haven't seen my passport.
Well, you have Buenos Aires accent, obviously.
Cheers. I learned it from from my mum.
Australian friends.
Yeah, from Australian Argentinian. Me telling you something doesn't make it truth. Yeah, it doesn't matter how many miracles someone does for someone else. Yeah, they're just going to ask for more miracles. Oh, show me another trick. Show me another trick. It doesn't prove emptiness, me telling you about my experience of emptiness. Because the only way you prove emptiness is you have a direct experience of emptiness. It doesn't serve you for someone that's seen emptiness to say, I've seen it. Now that night something went down because the teaching wasn't the list, wasn't the 5 paths. And there's a reason I'm going through the 5 paths slowly. Very slowly. The reason is that bodhicitta, one of the main benefits from bodhicitta is that it does something at this point of the path, at the 3rd path, the path of seeing. If you've been doing the path of accumulation and the path of preparation, and in there you're not just concerned for yourself, you're thinking, I can figure these things out so everybody else around me, whether I like them or not, is also on the train, and if I can get me out of the train, I can get everyone out of the train. If your mind is coloured like that, with like tea in water, by the time you have this experience, your mind is already coloured with bodhicitta. And then you have a very different experience at the path of seeing, rather than seeing the nature of all existence. You have the nature of all existence followed by bodhicitta. When you come down from the experience of seeing emptiness directly, you also have a bunch of other things. You remember that you saw a very specific kind of emptiness, which is the emptiness of an enlightened mind. Yeah, you see the Dharmakaya, you see your own self as a future Buddha. You see a whole bunch of other things, but one of the things you see is you get this. He described 2 different things. One was this immense, incomprehensible, all-encompassing love that felt like a stream of blue crystal light bursting from your heart, like the movie Donnie Darko, but better, yeah? Bursting from your heart. Another way he described it is like you see the faces of every creature that has ever been and ever will be and ever was and ever is in existence all throughout all planetary systems and time, and you experience their faces in a few moments, in a few minutes, and you have utter and complete love, not as in I'm passionately in love with you, as in a complete wish for their freedom, love, yeah, for every single one of them. I mean, the only way I can relate it to me is when you walk in a hospital or you work in a nursing home and you see a person that's completely afflicted by their physicality, and something spontaneously and uncontrived arises in you and says, I wish I could do something for them. I love them. I don't want them to hurt. I want them free from that. Imagine that multiplied by every single creature in existence. And you having that feeling of your heart bursting open because you got rid of your selfishness. Because selfishness is destroyed, you are nothing but free to care for others. And like I said before, it actually fills up your tank in exponential proportions. The more you have that feeling, the more capacity you have to have more of that feeling in a way bigger way than you're leaking out fuel in our conventional mind. You see, you're leaking out a little bit of love and a little bit of giving. It's filling up your tank by the amount of possible beings that your mind is conceiving. And that's why bodhicitta is such a big deal. At this point, if you have bodhicitta, when you see emptiness directly and you have this experience, then the next path is the path of habituation, where you habituate your activity. I'll get back to it after the break. Yeah, I'm going to rush through the paths and then we'll come back. You habituate your day-to-day experience of body, speech, and mind to what you had in the direct experience of emptiness. You meet somebody and you say, you are appearing to exist out there separate to me, and I like you or I don't like you. Yeah? Whatever arises. And you know with certainty, with 100% certain, that you never had before the third path. Doubt is removed. You know that that experience is coming from me. That's still there. She still exists. I still like her. But it's not self-existently that way. It's appearing that way, the mirage is appearing, but you now have a solid stake on the ground. You can see that the train will stop within X number of activities. This is the path of habituation. You are habituating to what you learn to figure out to stop the train. But you are certain it will stop because you now know the sequence of events, the things you have to remove to make the train stop. And so that's the path of habituation. That typically says it's 7 lifetimes. You also, at the third path, you know how you won't be called by your name, and that has a special significance. You no longer be called Mike, he said. Yeah. And that has special significance. Something to do with naming and labeling. Still in the path of seeing, sorry. And then you habituate yourself to what you saw there. The last path is no more learning. Which means, that's it, you've achieved your goal. If you did not have bodhicitta, if you have not developed this stuff we're studying, you will reach nirvana. Yeah? Which is the Hinayana path. You will reach a state of, what's the definition of nirvana?
Cessation
Of all mental afflictions due to the individual analysis.
And also
one by one, something like that, right? Which means, I'll cover it when we come back to class. So if you do not have bodhicitta covering your mind at that point, you will achieve nirvana. If you did have bodhicitta, if you've also developed, you're going to do the same work, yeah? You're going to try and stop the train, get out of the train. But instead of jumping out the window or just removing your own part and leaving everybody else on the train, you're wishing that you could do this so everyone else gets freed. Then the result is that everyone is free. Now the power here is that you reach total Buddhahood, meaning every single experience you ever have at that moment of your own mind, your own bodies, and your existences are complete bliss, all-encompassing, past, present, and future, and that's a whole long story that I'm already going too long for. But the most interesting thing about having the mind of bodhicitta, developing that mind, as you're going to go through these progressions anyway, and if not in this lifetime, hopefully you bump into it some other time, if you're lucky, yeah, is that why would bodhicitta make such a difference from individual liberation to nirvana to every single thing in all existence being complete and utter bliss? Every experience you have with anyone is complete and utter perfect bliss and abundance and so on. Why? What would bodhicitta, the wish for other people to be free from suffering, be the reason for you to achieve Buddhahood versus personal nirvana?
This is jet fuel.
Huh?
It's the jet fuel. It's the motivation.
Jet fuel was the motivation, right? And this you have to go back to the laws of karma. What's one of the main laws of karma?
so that everything is of the same nature of what it costs.
Yeah, good.
Karma expands.
Karma expands, but it produces like, yeah. So what if, and this will be the break time, we'll have a 5-minute breaks after this. What if you really did habituate your mind to love and wish freedom from suffering, wishing bliss on every single sentient thing you experienced? You are in everything, right? No. Then what would the result be? Everything you experience is causing you bliss.
Right.
Because you've been habituating your mind to wish upon everything. This is the power of bodhicitta. The power of bodhicitta pushes you into enlightenment, full enlightenment, Buddhahood, versus a personal state of, I'm not pissed off while the world is still happening, nirvana. Still like a high achievement. But you're going to do the same amount of work. So do you get that? This is magic. This is the magic. This is the alchemical elixir of bodhicitta. The fact that you're intending to fix your world produces the karma that forces a world upon you, like you're being forced to be on the train right now, forces a world upon you to be complete and utter bliss in all time, all beings. And the beautiful thing in the class is, I was in the class and it's like, I must have been wearing a tie, a suit and tie. And he says, every single being, you've got to wish everything. Otherwise, you might experience Hector's stripes tie as bliss, bliss, bliss for every stripe except that last tie, that last stripe might not be so good. Yeah, so you don't want that. He goes, you want everything to be bliss. And at that, we'll take a break. We'll come back. Can we come back in 5 minutes and then I'll do the main class and we'll answer questions and so on. Thank you. I ranted a lot. We are on page 1.
Should we take a break?
Yeah, take a quick break. Just like pee break or grab yourself something and then come back in here.